Did you know that 1 in 3 Jamaicans consume sweetened beverages 1 time per day or more? Now, the government of Jamaica has introduced a $10.1 billion special consumption tax SCT on non-alcoholic beverages, specifically sugar-sweetened drinks. And let's just say, not everyone is celebrating. Not everyone is celebrating. On Thursday, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Favour Williams, made the announcement as a part of Jamaica's $1.44 trillion 2026-27 budget, a fiscal response to the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa, which caused an estimated US $8.8 billion in damage, or roughly 41% of Jamaica's GDP. So yes, the country needs the revenue to close the shortfall caused by the disaster. But here's the real question. Is this about revenue or is it about your health? When many people hear sugary drinks, they think about soda. But the definition is much broader. The World Health Organization, WHO, defines sugar-sweetened beverages as all non-alcoholic drinks containing free sugars. That includes carbonated and non-carbonated soft drinks, fruit juices and nectars, flavored water, energy and sports drinks, sweetened teas and coffees, liquid and powdered concentrate. In other words, this tax reaches far beyond sodas. Now here's where it gets a little bit serious. Sweetened beverages are strongly associated with non-communicable diseases, NCDs. So it leads to obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and dental problems. Yes, and Jamaica has been battling these issues for many years. In fact, in January 2019, Jamaica implemented a national ban on high sugar drinks in schools and public health facilities. And this was to help fight rising childhood obesity and diabetes. And according to the third Jamaica Health and Lifestyle Survey of 2016-2017, 32.6% of Jamaicans aged 15 or older consume sugar-sweetened beverages at least once per day. That's 1 in 3 persons. And that's not occasional consumption, that's routine. That's a lifestyle pattern. Now, globally, the World Health Organization recommends measures such as taxes on sugary drinks, restrictions on marketing to children, front of package warning labels. You get the idea. So therefore, the idea is simply to change the behavior by changing the prices. And because when something becomes more expensive, people tend to buy less of that product or service. But here's where things become a little bit challenging. Local manufacturers have started to push back already. They argue that the tax is inequitable. They're saying, why target sweetened beverages only, but not other high sugar products like, for example, condensed milk or powdered sweeteners? Why single out one category? As a matter of fact, the chairman of Wisinko Group, William Mafood, was quoted in the Jamaica Observer saying, "It's not one class of product that causes people's health. There are issues related to salt intake, there are issues related to oils and fat intake, there are issues related to all manner of cholesterol and carbohydrates." In other words, if the goal is public health, why isolate beverages? And here's another layer to consider. Are non-alcoholic beverages now being treated similar to alcohol under the SCT regime? Are they now a sin tax? Manufacturers also argue that this tax disproportionately affects lower income Jamaicans. the very group the government said it's trying to protect. But let's be honest, if you live in a low-income household and you regularly buy sweetened drinks, this tax doesn't feel like a public health policy. It feels more like a price hike. And when budgets are already stretched, consumers now face a tough choice. Pay more for familiar products or switch to alternatives that may also be costly. So, is this protecting the most vulnerable, or is it placing additional pressure on them? Tell me. And here's the deeper issue. Should governments influence behavior through taxation, or should consumer choice remain untouched, even if those choices have long-term health consequences? Supporters say this tax will reduce sugar consumption, it will lower health costs over time, and it will save lives in the future. However, critics argue that it's simply just a revenue grab. It's disguised as a health reform, and guess what? The timing matters. This is happening in the context of our Hurricane Melissa recovery. The government of Jamaica needs the money, the country needs rebuilding, but when you consider the disaster and combine that with the recovery efforts and put that along with targeted taxation, then the skepticism naturally rises. Now here's something worth thinking about. If the goal is health, will we see stronger education campaigns, clear front of package warning labels, expanded access to healthier, affordable alternatives? Very good questions, right? Because taxation alone doesn't solve behavioral habits. But guess what? Education does. Access does. Culture does. So here's the truth. Yes, Jamaica has a serious NTD problem. Yes, sugar consumption contributes to that problem. Yes, fiscal policy can influence health outcomes. But also, this is true, taxes hit real people in real time. And in a fragile economy, even small increases matter. So the big question becomes, is this short-term pain for long-term gain? Or is it another example of the masses carrying the weight of national recovery? In other words, will the poor feel it more? We'll be watching this one closely, and in upcoming episodes, we'll seek to unpack the specific revenue measures in the 2026-2027 budget and how they affect your household, your business, and your wealth strategy. This has been Building Wealth with Wisdom. Until next time, walk good, stay wise, and build wealth with wisdom. See you in the next episode.